Welcome to Minova, South Africa. Minova, South Africa, guided always by its deliver the promise values, being safety, health and environment first and always, commercial ownership, creative and clever customer solutions, and working together, forms an ethical and efficient team with its customers and partners. At Minova, everybody is responsible to make a contribution and adhere to health and safety rules implemented in the company. We're all responsible for the health and safety of each other. It is a partnership between you, co-workers, management, and the company, with the sole aim to strive for zero accidents. The journey to a safe workplace starts with legislation that deals with safety, health, and environmental requirements. There are three main pieces of legislation we need to adhere to. The Occupational Health and Safety Act. This act has rules for both managers and workers to govern the health and safety of workers. Managers must create a safe environment for workers to work in and ensure that workers are trained and informed to do their work. Managers must set the example in obeying the safety rules. Workers must obey all safety instructions and look after their own and others' well-being. Compensation for Occupational Injuries and Diseases Act. This act lays down the outline for receiving compensation should you get injured or contract an occupational disease whilst at work. Minova RSA is registered with the Commissioner, and employees need to report disabling injuries within the shift they occurred in. The South African Constitution states, "Everyone has the right to an environment that is not harmful to their health or well-being, and must prevent pollution and ecological degradation. We are all responsible for not polluting the environment." As you can see, safe working areas and safe behavior of employees are governed by laws of our country. It is mandatory to follow safe working procedures. Safety programs exist because accidents happen as a result of two distinct groups of unsafe factors. The first group can be classified as unsafe conditions that includes, but not exclusive to, untidy and dirty work areas, faulty equipment, slippery floors, and inadequate lighting. The second group of factors is known as unsafe acts that result from people's behavior. For example, not following safe work procedures and standard operating procedures, inappropriate use of equipment, or the failure to wear required personal protective equipment. Before you commence a task, take a moment. Stop and think about the potential dangers of the task and make sure you can perform your task safely. The Minova 8-Point Safety Program. The first step towards a safe working environment is adhering to the many signs and safety rules in different areas of our factory sites. Safety signs are divided into 5 main categories, which are prohibitory, red circle signs with strikes through; mandatory, dark blue circle; firefighting information, red square signs; general information, green square signs; warning, yellow triangle signs. Demarcation. Red and white strips indicate unauthorized areas for stacking under fire equipment. Solid orange with yellow border indicates unauthorized areas for stacking under electrical DB boards. Solid green with a yellow border indicates walkways and pedestrians must keep inside these lines. PPE. Personal protective equipment or PPE, is not designed to make you uncomfortable. It is there to prevent grievous bodily harm to you. When hazards cannot be eliminated by engineering means, PPE use is the only layer of protection you have. Do not neglect it. When on site, always wear the correct personal protective equipment required for the job you are doing. For welding tasks, welding face shield must be worn to protect your skin from burns. A long-sleeve overall is also mandatory. Prolonged exposure to this high level of noise will affect your hearing abilities, and you will end up with difficulties in hearing low-tone sounds. Safety goggles should be worn in all the designated areas where there is a risk of foreign materials or chemicals entering your eyes. Safety shoes give protection against falling objects, where your normal shoes will not absorb the impact. Wear them. Protection against hazardous chemical substances is provided by chemical goggles, chemical gloves, masks, and chemical suit aprons as applicable. Safety harnesses are designed to hook up at heights. General safety rules. Smoking. Smoking is not allowed on site. There are designated smoking areas around the plant. Please keep these clean and free of papers and cigarette butts. When leaving the smoking area, ensure that all cigarette butts have been put out and not left smouldering. Hazardous chemicals. Personnel mostly exposed to dangerous chemicals are in these areas: laboratories and resin factory. Laboratory chemicals must be handled with care. Various chemicals, beside their corrosive nature, may react with each other if mixed and may result in unfortunate accidents. All the material safety data sheets are available at the point of their use. You are entitled to have access to them. Follow the material safety data sheet directions. Use the appropriate PPE like chemical gloves, chemical shield goggles, chemical aprons, and masks where applicable. Lifting while stacking. Lifting heavy objects can cause serious back injuries. For this reason, wearing a back belt whilst loading products and product packaging is mandatory. It will help to prevent the strain that lifting can cause on the back. Hook up at heights. Humans cannot fly and land safely. Working at heights, which consists of any work done where your feet are above 2 meters, requires additional protective equipment. This includes a safety harness and safety buckle. The buckle must be attached to a stable structure at all times. Forklift guidelines. Only authorized personnel are allowed to drive company vehicles and forklifts. All persons driving this machine must be trained and declared competent to do so. Before operating the forklift, inspect its condition properly to determine that it is fit and safe to use. If not, report to your supervisor and/or artisan and get it fixed first. Fill in the inspection sheet before you commence driving. Don't use forklifts to transport or lift people up. Always wear your seatbelt. Adhere to the speed limit. Be careful while passing crossroads. While driving or transporting a load, keep the fork at least 15 centimeters above the ground, but not more than 30 centimeters. Don't drive with the load raised. Using a mobile phone whilst driving a forklift is completely prohibited. Keep the forklift in its parking area if not in use. Don't park the forklift and obstruct fire extinguishers, passages, or emergency exits. Don't depart and leave the forklift in operation mode. Make sure the forklift is safe, clean and washed before knocking off. Machinery and equipment. Before operating the machine, inspect its condition properly to determine that it is fit and safe to use and the working area is clean. If not, report to your supervisor and/or artisan and get it fixed first. Fill in the inspection sheet before you commence operation. Machinery and equipment are one of the critical areas for safety. By following a few simple rules, many potential accidents can be eliminated. Do not play and fool around in workshops and in the factory. All persons working on a machine or with equipment must be trained and declared competent to do so. Machine guarding is critical to prevent anything from entering the moving parts of a machine. When the guarding of a machine has been removed for repairs or cleaning, ensure that you put them back and secure the guarding. No machine guarding may be removed or disabled. No loose clothing. It can get caught in moving machinery. Wear gloves. When working on any equipment or machinery with sharp edges or blades, gloves protect your hands and fingers. Look after your hands. They cannot be replaced. When using welding equipment, make sure your workplace is properly screened off and that you wear the appropriate PPE. Spectators should not look into the welding light. It can cause permanent damage to your eyes. Be aware of where to find emergency stops of equipment when working around machines with special hazards. Make sure the area and the machine is safe, is also clean and washed before knocking off, and report correctly completed. Vehicles. For your own safety, stay at least 5 meters away from moving vehicles. To drive a vehicle, you need a valid driver's license for the type of vehicle and permission to drive it. Restricted areas. Only authorized employees are allowed to enter the hazardous chemical storage room, as it poses a high risk. Work permits. A work permit is required and should be obtained from the Safety Department for the following activities: working at heights, hot work, electrical, excavation, confined space entry. Each of these has special safety procedures that need to be followed and requires special safety equipment that needs to be issued to the person that is going to execute the work. Cell phones may not be used at or on any machinery or workplace. Hazard spotting and reporting procedure. All employees are encouraged to submit safety improvement reports whenever a hazard is spotted in their work area or elsewhere. For every hazard we report and eliminate, we are reducing the chances for accidents to happen. Safety improvement report forms are distributed by the Safety Department to all sections. Employees should take action if a hazard can be eliminated easily. Otherwise, the report should be filled and submitted to their line manager. The line manager should evaluate the situation, assess the risk involved, and whether the hazard is valid or not. Line managers must submit the signed report to safety and the concerned department for corrective action. Incidents. It is every worker's responsibility to report any incident or injury to either the safety officer or to your supervisor. They will assess the situation and the necessary steps to be taken to prevent reoccurrence. In the event of an unforeseen accident occurring at work, the injured person will be treated immediately by a fully trained first aider who has to be trained to deal with emergencies. First aid boxes are situated in every section. More serious injuries will be referred to the nearest doctor or hospital. Emergency contact numbers are also listed on the first aid boxes. Good housekeeping reduces hazards in the workplace. All personnel and contractors are required to keep the worksite neat and tidy. Fires. Fire is one of the most destructive forces in nature. They are not restricted to plants and other multi-activity workshops. They can happen anywhere. Fire is the result of an oxidation reaction which gives off heat and light. Fires require a fuel to burn, an oxidant, usually atmospheric oxygen, a source of energy strong enough to get the reaction going. This might be heat, small flame, ember, or even an electrical spark. At Minova plants, 3 types of fire extinguishing medias are available. Pressurized water, hose reel, used for Class A fires involving organic solids such as paper and wood. CO2 extinguishers are placed near electrical panel rooms and should be used for Class B fires that involve flammable or combustible liquids, petrol and oil fires, as well as Class C fires involving electrical appliances. Never use water for this type of fire. Chemical powder extinguishers that can be used for various types of fire and considered a general purpose extinguisher. To activate a fire extinguisher, pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the lever, and sweep from side to side. Emergency evacuation and assembly points. Assembly points have been allocated to cover each plant. Please ask your supervisor which assembly point is applicable to the section you are working in. When an emergency situation occurs, an alarm will sound. Remain calm and leave the area through the pre-planned exit route towards the nearest assembly point. Go quickly, but don't run. Don't stop to collect anything. Whenever possible, switch off machines and equipment by pressing the emergency switches in order not to expose people to undue risks. Inform the safety department to assess the situation and take the necessary measures. A roll call must be carried out at assembly points, and the results have to be reported to the safety department and senior management. The roll call will be done by the section managers or supervisors. Don't leave the assembly point without permission. Return to work when the all clear has been sounded. The Minova Safety Program is supported by and under direct supervision of our CEO. We are serious about the health and safety of all our workers. Please adhere to all our rules for a pleasant and healthy stay. Remember, stop and think before you do anything. Have a safe shift.